So does the Zoomfly 6 actually feel like the training partner for the Vaporfly 3? Well, in today's shoe comparison review, I have a bit of fun today. So I'm going to put up a premium race day shoe, so Nike's Vaporfly 3, up against a training shoe or Nike's Super Trainer, the Nike Zoomfly 6. So I'm going to go through their similarities, their differences, and their key features, and hopefully from that, you guys are going to get a good indication of actually just see how good this Zoomfly 6 when it comes up against a race day shoe. But before we get into it, a big shout out to my #1 running store, the Running Company at Geelong. I've got a link to their website in the description. Make sure you go check out that and check out all their running gear. And also guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And with our specs, so first and foremost, check out the price difference there. So it's actually only $80 difference between these two shoes in Australia, but you're going to pay $90 difference in the US, so that is very interesting. But obviously, a race day shoe, you're going to expect to pay some premium prices, but what's really good about the Zoomfly 6 is the price point that it comes in. So $260 for a Super Trainer is certainly at the lower end of where Super Trainers are coming in, or especially for in Australia. Now, in the weight, there is a massive difference there in the weight, and can you feel that on the foot? Well, yes, you certainly can. So the Vaporfly 3 certainly feels just like a feather on the foot, where Zoomfly doesn't actually feel overly heavy, but it's certainly noticeably heavier than the Vaporfly. And then in the stacks, so this one has to be under the legal limit because this is what a lot of the elites use for their races, so it's up at that 40 mil, so a little bit over the 40 mil here in the training shoe. When you put these two shoes side by side, what actually feels like the taller stack? Well, they feel pretty much similar because this, the Zoomfly has actually got, it's a lot softer and then you have a lot more sink into this shoe, so you don't feel that much higher off the ground, more so than the Vaporfly. And in our episode, two very different designs going on here, as you would expect, because we've got the Vaporfly that is just designed for race day, and then we've got some creature comforts that have been built into the Zoomfly 6. Material that they use here though is a double layer woven mesh. Now this mesh is really fine and it doesn't look that breathable when you look at it, but the breathability is actually okay in this shoe. Now it turns to a little bit more of a traditional design towards the back half, so pretty solid heel counter. We've got an Achilles flare, and the amount of padding that they use around the heel collar here is just what you expect in a training shoe, so about a medium amount there. Now with our tongue, so I first thought that this was a gusseted tongue. Well, it sort of is a gusseted tongue, but the tongue is actually just stitched into the internal layer or the internal mesh of the shoe. So it doesn't have like a singular gusset, it's just, yeah, woven into the shoe. Really nice concept, and it's meshed. We've also got some nice padding on the tongue as well, sort of in the shape of a T, so it goes across the top here and down just to take that laces pressure off. It's nicely cut at the top too, so it's going to contour nice and flat on top of the foot. Our lacing system, pretty standard here, but the laces that they use here are certainly different than what you're going to find on the Vaporfly. So they're a little thicker, these laces. They're probably going to be a little bit more robust as well. I've had no issues with these coming undone. The lockdown in the Zoomfly, absolutely excellent. In the fit, true to size in the length here. And in the width, I'm going to say the width is normal and toe box volume is just right as well. For the toe box shape though here, it's quite rounded in comparison to what you're going to find on the Vaporfly. So it's a little bit more of that anatomical shape I think that they're going for here, but I quite like it. The toe box does remind me of the Nike Vomero. And with the Vaporfly, so the material that they use here is fly knit. Now this fly knit material is so light, so breathable. As I said, it's just like a net that's on top of your foot. There's pretty much no structure on it whatsoever, but we do have some structure around the heel collar of the shoe, which I think is good to see. So quite solid at the back, a little bit of play at the top. Minimal padding in this shoe. We've just got this internal heel pad of what they've used successfully in previous race day models. So it just really is so effective just to keep that heel down secure in the bottom of the shoe. It creates a really good lockdown. A lacing system, so they've got sort of off-center laces just to take the pressure off the top of the foot. They use those really cool notch laces that make it really easy to cinch up and don't come undone. The tongue here is not gusseted. It's made out of the same fly knit. It's quite long as well, but it's still got that wing fit cut at the top just to let it sit nice and flat on the top. Now in the fit here, so true to size in the length, but as I mentioned before, the toe box has got a different shape here. So it's a bit more pointy, or it's got a, it goes to a bit more of a point, especially where the big toe is. But overall, the toe box is quite roomy, so quite voluminous, so which is quite nice, just allowing those feet to swell on those really long races. And in our outsole, so Nike are using the waffle design tread pattern in both shoes, but the tread pattern is slightly different. And also feels like the rubber is slightly different as well. So the rubber feels a little bit softer in the Zoomfly, more so than it does in the Vaporfly. Now, the rubber is also a little bit thicker on the Zoom, so the training shoe, what you would expect as well, just to add a little bit more durability to the Zoomfly, more so than the Vaporfly. But as you can see, they've got pretty similar designs there with rubber coverage, so pretty much the entire forefoot's covered in both shoes, exposed foam through the middle of the shoe, then in the high wear areas on both sides in the rear of the shoe. They've both got that little window there, so same sort of design concept where you can see the exposed fly plate as well. And with performance, so they both perform really well for their intended purpose. So grip is excellent in both shoes, and obviously, as I said before, you're going to get a little bit more durability out of the training shoe over the race day shoe. And in our midsole, so they both may have a big Zoom X printed on the side of the shoe, but don't be fooled by that, because the Zoomfly 6 isn't actually all Zoom X. So this is a dual density foam, so two types of foams, and the actual Zoom X layer in this shoe is the thinner layer of foam, so not the majority of foam, and it's our top layer of foam, which is directly under the foot, which is a good spot for super foam to be, because you can actually feel the sensation. So yeah, just that really thin top layer there. Then under our Zoom X layer, we've got their fly plate. So they do say it's a full length carbon fly plate, but it's a different carbon than what's in the Vaporfly, because you can actually bend this plate, and I'm thinking it feels more like a plastic type material, so I'm thinking it could be like a carbon resin type plate, similar to what they use in the Magics, that ASICS Magic Speed, because that's got some bend in it as well, because you can't do that with a normal carbon plate or it would crack. But yeah, good amount of snapback there. Then under our carbon plate, or our whatever that is, our fly plate, another type of foam, so SRO2 foam. So it's a EVA foam that Nike have used just to add a little bit more durability in the shoe. But what is surprising with this SRO2 foam, it's a softer compound to what it's felt in other shoes, that's for sure. But yeah, it really makes this ride very, very comfortable, and it certainly takes a lot of pounding out of the road, that's for sure. Now in the geometry, we have got a bit of a forefoot rocker here, so it is quite similar to what you're going to find in the Vaporfly as well. So it's a bit of an early stage rocker that is not aggressive at all, so you don't ever feel like you're tipping forward in this shoe. So yeah, it's more gentle, and it starts further back in this shoe, this rocker. And in our Vaporfly, so we do just have Zoom X foam, so no other foam. So we've got two layers of it. So we've got a top layer there, and then we've got a full-length carbon plate, or a fly plate is what they call it. Now this is a proper carbon plate, because this plate is really rigid, heaps more rigid than what you're going to find in the Zoomfly, as you can see there. So a much stiffer shoe here. And then under our carbon plate, or our fly plate, we've just got another layer of that Zoom X super foam. Really, really nice. Now geometry-wise, again, as I said, it's really similar to what you're going to find in the Zoomfly 6, so not that aggressive, starts further back in the shoe, and just a sort of slow lean forward, so you don't really feel like you're tipping forward in this shoe either. And in the ride, so the workout that I chose to compare these two shoes was 10 sets of 700 meters, and they were all done at a variety of pace ranges, so from marathon pace all the way up to 5K pace. And so I done these reps, so the first 5 repetitions I had done in the Zoomfly, and then I had a 5-minute break and done a shoe change just to freshen up, and then I jumped in the Vaporfly 3 to do the last 5 sets. Now, key things that really jumped out at me, or between the differences of the rides here, is just how much softer the Zoomfly felt, and how much more bounce this shoe had in comparison to the Vaporfly. So this felt really firm and actually not that bouncy, and it didn't actually feel that responsive either. So Yeah, I was a bit surprised by that because I thought I'd put this shoe on and I'd feel super snappy and super fast, super responsive. But yeah, I didn't actually feel that. I could notice the difference in the weight though. So it felt like I was just wearing a pair of socks. So it felt so much lighter from going from this shoe into this shoe. Yeah, it just felt like I was wearing a sock, and I could really tell the difference in the breathability as well. But I did feel much more comfortable in the Zoomfly. So overall, comfort-wise, this is a much more comfortable shoe, and I'm actually surprised with, like I said, you don't feel overly fast in this shoe because you still feel like you've got a pretty big bulky shoe, and it's a pretty loud shoe, so you can hear yourself slamming into the concrete or slamming into the road. It's quite noisy, a bit like the Alphafly. And so you don't feel like you're going that fast, but when you look at the watch, you go, I'm actually humming along quite nicely. And I had the exact opposite feeling in this shoe. As I said, I felt really light, really airy on the foot. I should have felt snappy and fast. But as I got going through the rep, it certainly wasn't happening as easy as it was in the Zoomfly. Now, there could be a few different factors of that because I did use the Vaporfly in the last half of the workout and I wasn't as fresh for the first half. But saying that, you still should feel like this. It's got some wow factor about it. But all my testing in this Vaporfly, I've never really been wowed about the ride of this shoe, and I haven't really loved the Vaporfly at all. So I do think that there is better race shoes on the market. So does the Zoomfly 6 actually feel like the training partner for the Vaporfly 3? Well, the short answer is no, because in my experience here, I don't see that there is too much familiarity between the rides of both shoes. So they don't really feel like anything like the other shoe. If anything, the Zoomfly 6 feels more like the Alphafly, certainly more so than the Vaporfly. Again, what actually surprised me was just how easily this sort of can handle the pace and how comfortable the shoe is and how much squish it is. And then surprised me how firm this felt after running in this shoe. But again, the caveat is I haven't really ever been wowed by the Vaporfly 3, so maybe just this shoe is just not suited to my running style, which I totally take into account. But anyway guys, that's it from me. I hope you liked that one. Any questions you've got or anything I didn't cover and you want to know between these two shoes, just drop it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.